Well, I think the only card she has is the woman's card. She's got nothing else going. And frankly, if Hillary Clinton were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote. The only thing she's got going is the woman's card. And the beautiful thing is, women don't like her. I will be so much better to women than Hillary Clinton is. So much better.
At a time when Donald Trump has once again stepped on his tongue when it comes to comments about women, and also consistently talks about making the American military the strongest in the world if he becomes president, interesting to note an intersection between those two issues that maybe should have people asking not only Trump but every other candidate not just how they feel with women serving on the front lines, but women becoming equal to the point of being eligible for a military draft should one ever again be needed. We begin there. The Friday Eve edition of The Political Animal, designed to bring left and right together, decide where this country really is on issues at the moment. We fear nothing. She is the outspoken senior contributor at the Federalist, D.C. McAllister. He is the outspoken veteran Democratic strategist, executive director at the Travis County, Texas Democratic Party, JD Gins. Welcome in both. D.C., I'm going to start with you on this one. This was interesting. The House Armed Services Committee last night adopted a proposal to require women to register for the Selective Service in the event of a military draft. Now, the actual sponsor voted against it. He just wanted to make a point about women. But wait a minute here, D.C. Isn't it time that women basically they want to be equal? Make them equal even in the eyes of the military. What do you think?
Well, what do you mean by they want to be equal? And this is the issue. There's all kinds of feminism going around. It's like a disease. Women of old, feminists of old, really just wanted equality before the law. They don't see themselves as equal in every way. And that's a myth. That's radical feminism. That's not what I believe in as a feminist. That's not what I believe as a woman. And this whole notion that we need to be equal to men is just ridiculous. And this is a big example of it going way too far. Women are not the same as men. Women do not have the strength of men. This is why women have never been drafted.
But we get that. We get that. I'm going to stop you because you're talking about front lines too. But let's talk about this. Being eligible for the draft and signing up for selective service to at least be in the military. What's wrong with that, even on a feminist side?
Because the draft was always for combat. The only reason why we have the draft is if we don't have enough people to serve and to die and to go into the front lines. Plus, I want to say about this. I mean, even though there was drafting of nurses, I think in World War II, I mean, there's those kinds of things that are already possible. But what I want to point out is when you're in the military, you go into the military with the possibility that you're going to be in harm's way and the possibility that you may have to fight. And this is something to be drafted to do that, I think, is losing the soul of our country, to put our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, our wives into harm's way in that way. What kind of country are we?
Okay.
What kind of men are you that you're going to put your women into fight?
I got news for you. I know a lot of women who want to be in the military, and they want to be on the front line.
Then they can go do it, but don't you draft my daughters.
Okay, let's go out to JD Gins because he is shaking his head. Go ahead, JD.
I personally don't think feminism is a disease in any form right now. I think women want equality, and I think most women want equality when they don't want to earn 70 cents on the dollar of men. I think there's a good movement in our country to add women to the front lines of the military, and if heavens forbid we ever end up in a draft situation again, I think that women should be part of the draft. I think there should be equality across the board, but there's a lot that DC just said there that I think has women probably across the country kind of scratching their heads that feminism isn't a disease by any stretch of the imagination, and equality is what women want, and it starts with not making 70 cents on the dollar, but also things like this. And there are lots of women who are completely capable of being in the military, and there's been a lot of movement towards that. And if we have to have a draft again, then I think equality in the draft is a good way to ensure that we don't get foreign policy that creates a draft.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to something else here because I want you both to comment on this, because here is Ted Cruz. Let's start out, first of all, by noting that John Boehner, the former Speaker of the House, has said not once but twice recently that Ted Cruz is Lucifer in the flesh, which everybody is talking about today. Here's Ted Cruz responding to those comments.
When John Boehner calls me Lucifer, he's not directing that at me. He's directing that at you. What Boehner is angry with is the American people holding him accountable. That's what the anger is, because the corrupt system that Boehner and Hillary have been enmeshed with for years, funded by Donald Trump. Donald's writing checks to Boehner, he's writing checks to Hillary. He's funding the corrupt system. It is unaccountable to the people.
JD, I know you're coming from the other side. Please don't bash away. Use your strategist role in all this, because Rush Limbaugh said today that this Lucifer remark is the best endorsement ever for Cruz. What do you think?
I don't think being called the devil is a good endorsement. But
Call
I
him
don't think,
Lucifer, not quite the devil, but Lucifer.
Lucifer, I don't think that's a great endorsement. I don't think that's going to motivate a lot of people in the middle. But what Boehner is getting to the heart of is what a lot of people in Texas and Ted Cruz's colleagues in the Senate know. Ted Cruz is a jerk, and people don't like working with him. He said other not nice things about him. I'm not sure that they're all worthy of the air, or I might have to get bleeped out. But there's a solid contingency inside the Republican Party that doesn't want somebody like Ted Cruz leading the country because they know just how extreme he really is.
DC, I got 45 seconds left. I got something else for you here because Carly Fiorina, the VP choice for Ted Cruz. Donald Trump held his press conference, talked about Ted Cruz. Not once did he mention Carly Fiorina. And there's some people thinking that he's just a little, not scared, but hesitant. He doesn't want to take on Carly Fiorina. You buy that?
No, I don't think he's scared of Carly Fiorina. He's going to say something if it's important and at the right time. But I want to go back to Ted Cruz being the devil. The reason why Boehner said that is because Ted Cruz made his life hell because Boehner was a complete loser in the House. So I'm just,
there it is. I was waiting for someone to say that. I was waiting for a conservative to say that, and nobody's come out and said that today.
Yeah, he made life hell for him, and he needed to.
All right.
Good for Ted Cruz. And Texas did vote for Ted Cruz, so Texas loves Ted Cruz.
And JD knows all about that as well. DC McAllister, JD Gins, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, one of our subjects here is about to be expanded on your comments after the break. The world-famous and award-winning lightning round. 1-877 Newsmax. What would be so bad about mandating every single person turning 18 in America be forced to serve 2 years in the military? Now, this comes around to something we just talked about and a bill that has perhaps, maybe one day, women having to sign for selective service and then be eligible for the draft. But what's wrong with everybody having to serve 2 years? We're going to put it to you. 1-877 Newsmax. Bring it on. The Hardline continues.